Okay, so I want to talk about my three most favoured techniques that I do in the hand, and one of them is the fanning technique, and then the other two are minimum manoeuvres. So working with the first technique, which is the fanning technique, the reason why I would do a fanning technique, I would use a smaller size squeegee because it's not a window that I'm going to be able to do a minimum manoeuvre on because of one complication or another. So I don't want to complicate my work. So I like to start in the middle of the window and then come down and close out on these windows at the bottom because they're sealless windows. I don't want to be closing up to the side. So it's more of an even technique, fanning technique, than starting at the left hand side because I'm right-handed. I start in the middle and I close out in the middle, and two main reasons why I do this: I want even wear on my end clips and on my rubbers, and also I'm coming down the glass rather than going up the glass. Now, as I said, this technique is only done on windows that are not really suited for a minimum maneuver, but every single scenario that I talk about in my video and in all my videos I've made is all about effectiveness and efficiency. Zero detail, zero mistakes. A zero detail is the highest, most efficient and effective squeegee type of technique there is in window cleaning. It requires you to use a tool like this and a certain procedure to get the maximum effect out of your squeegee technique. Obviously using two hands as well, saturated washer, soap added to the washer, and you learn how to be much more efficient and effective. Right, so the second technique that is mostly used on windows, more so windows that are for these example, this window, because it's an easy, smooth window to work on. It's a minimum maneuver, but it's a three-part minimum maneuver, like I call it the Z sort of technique. So I'll make a Z sort of maneuver, and it's all done in one swoop. I use a much bigger size squeegee, bigger spread. So a bigger spread means my positioning power must be a lot more controlled and calculated. I'll start on one side of the window and I'll make sure my squeegee spread covers the window. No mistake, zero detail, and that is a huge time saver, especially on windows that allow you to do it. If you can have a window that allows you to do it, it's all about being versatile and adaptable and evolve, but it has to be a squeegee that is way over the width of the window. So the third technique is the minimum maneuver, the minimum move, and it is much more calculating technique. Start even lower on these windows, this particular window, and I put my tool in the right place at the right time, and I'm just going right round the window. Okay, so start a little bit lower than I did before on the Z technique, and literally all these techniques I didn't learn from anyone off YouTube or anyone in the streets. I learnt this as I went with working tool and technique with these liquidator squeegees and accelerator squeegees. So on one of my videos prior to the one that I previously made, someone basically asked the question, can you describe tool and technique? What does it mean? What's it all about? It's the highest, most efficient, most effective squeegee technique. Why is it the highest? Because it requires the highest rate of concentration and skills and ability, and you can only achieve this with certain procedures: saturated washer, two hands, soap added. Doesn't matter what soap it is, as long as it's like a decent type of dish soap, or if you want to use professional soap, that's fine. A professional soap will never make you into a more efficient and effective window cleaner, because I've hardly ever used any professional soaps. I just relied on dish soap. And as I said, I haven't learned anything from anybody on YouTube in terms of using squeegees and techniques and maneuvers. Everything's original, and I put it out there because literally I do things that literally nobody else either thinks about or does, and it helps people who bought these tools, because lots of people, well, it's, from what I've been told from many different suppliers, this is their biggest selling squeegee, but it's also the biggest flop, because most window cleaners around the world work longer, harder, slower, get less results because they have no idea of working tool and technique. And for an example, I was working today in the street, 4 different other window cleaners all working at the same time, all working for themselves. 4 out of the 5 window cleaners, including me, were hopeless at cleaning windows. One-handed, one size tool fits all, one type of technique fits all. It's ridiculous, but that's window cleaning, that's how it is. So let's not be like everybody else, let's work completely different and, you know, next level. So fanning technique on windows that won't allow me to do minimum manoeuvres, start in the middle and finish at the bottom, somewhere in the middle. On these windows, never close out to the side, and then like the Z technique, minimum maneuver, and then the minimum maneuver, which is just going around completely on the window. And let's just check the zero detail. There is 0 detail and there is 0 mistake in there. So that is tool and technique. I've literally not, this, look down here is my glass cloth and it never gets touched. The only reason I'm going to touch up a window is if I've got to clean around a decal. Everything else, tool, technique, 100% of the time, 100% results. Effectiveness first, efficiency second, and literally light years ahead of any other window cleaner giving out any sort of technique, squeegee advice on YouTube. That's what you got to do. You've got to be different. You've got to be better than everybody else.